Hello and welcome to the ETL Final. In this video we'll take a look at what the final entails and give you some tips on how to get started. So the final follows a fictitious business that has 3 clinics, one in Bellevue, one in Kirkland, one in Redmond. And these are medical clinics that have, of course, patients. Those patients have records. Some patients are existing and some patients are new. Each time a patient goes to a particular clinic, like may go to one clinic and another clinic, so it's a many-to-many relationship, a visit record is generated. These visit records need to be sent over to corporate. Corporate set up a network share where these files can be uploaded to. It's the responsibility of each clinic to upload the files every day to the folders. Our final has nothing to do with that process. Patient records are also uploaded to those folders. And again, the process of uploading those files is nothing to do with us. Once those files are in there, though, currently what they are doing is they are manually reviewing the current data and importing it into the patient's database. There's also a doctor schedules database, but those files aren't impacting that. So the manual review process is involving a human. The file goes into the folder, then the human takes a look at the file. If it looks good, they add it to the database. If it looks bad, they send over any bad rows over to the clinic for processing. The process of sending the file and back to Bellevue, or Bellevue sending it to the folder corporate, is not part of our issue. But we do want to automate automate the finding of a bad record. In this case, I've loaded up the emails and some patient records that are incorrect. So just like you did in an earlier module, you'll be able to use that to separate the bad rows of data from the good rows, and you'll want to import the good rows into the patient's table. I have a data warehouse that we're going to create. In the data warehouse, you have a couple of logical collections of tables, data marts. One's revolving around the visits that patients have, so patients visit data mart, and another one, the doctor schedules data mart. Some of these data marts these two data marts share some tables. Your goal is to import data from the 2 source databases, patients and doctor schedules, into the data warehouse. Now, once those records are imported into the data warehouse, you have some more data every day. And the idea will be that you would, every day, pick up the data from the folders and import them into the patient's database. That's step 1. And then step 2 would be to take the data from the patient's database and put it into the data warehouse. Once the data has been cleansed and put into both the patient's database and the data warehouse, you're pretty much done with the importing process. So the total set of tasks then will be, you got to create the data warehouse. I've given you a script for it. Got to import the data from the patients and doctor schedules database. One of the issues that is in the data, there's an addresses column that is corrupt. I may use that in advanced courses, but for this final, you can ignore them. So don't worry about it. I do want you to import patient data first from the patient source and then into the data warehouse. And the issues there are, these are the new patient data text files. The issues is I purposely corrupted the emails. So I want you to use the same kind of scenario that we did in an earlier module to separate those two into valid text files and invalid text files. And of course, import only the valid records. The visit data is pretty straightforward. There's only one thing that I kind of messed up on purpose, was one of the clinics is not actually including their clinic ID. I don't know why. They assume that they figure that it's implied by the fact that they put it in their own folder. You need to correct this. it's got to have a clinic ID when it goes into the database. The good news is this one's pretty easy. You do have to make the technical documentation and then write down what you've learned this quarter. So those are the steps that I want you to take. Now to accomplish that, I've given you files to help out with this. There is, of course, a checklist. The checklist basically should cover the same thing I did. So I open this up. First thing is attach the patient and doctor schedules database. You'll find them over here in the patient doctor clinic DBs. In there, you'll find an MDF file for patients and another one for doctor schedule. There's also an extras folder. It's completely extras. It has nothing to do with the project. It's just some example scripts that some people might be interested in on how the random data was generated. So you can ignore those. You'll need to create the data warehouse. I've given you a script. It's right here. This will create the data warehouse for you. And then you need to look at the patient and visit records. Those are right in here, clinic daily data, and there's the folders. And like I said, some of them are messed up. So you need to spot what the pattern is and validate that with some C# code or PowerShell code or whatever you want to use. I've given you several different options. Now, once you've figured out what kind of things you have to do, like what kind of transformations you have to do. Examples, of course, would be like in the original patients database, there was an address column, but in the data warehouse, we're not doing that, so we don't include it. We don't use that, so we just drop it. We do want to concatenate the first name and last name, just like we've done before, so you write that down. All the things that you need to do to take the data from the source and put it into the data warehouse. Of course, you also need transformations to take the data from the text files and put it into the source databases, patients in this case. So you'll need to write that down too. That should take about an hour or so just to kind of make a list of it. And then the big part is going to take at least 4 hours to go through and write an ETL script for moving the data from patients and doctors' schedules into the data warehouse. Now, the actual hours it takes, I want you to just record those. These are my estimates, how long it would take me to go through and kind of do this. It may take you longer, it may take you less. But go ahead and record your actual hours so that you know kind of where you're at, and I know where you're at, please. You can make an educated guess about them and put your own numbers in here, how long you think it'll take, and then go through and put the actual hours. But I do want to see what the actual hours come out to. Now, once you have your transformations documented and you get the script all set up, make sure the script is using views and stored procedures. It can be very simple, but you should be using those abstraction layers. And I want you to create a SSIS package, of course, a project along with it. And that project should have all those little files that we've been building, the script files, the transformation document, all that stuff, just like we've been doing all quarter long. And of course, an SSIS package that will import the data into the data warehouse. Also, the package should import data from the text files as well. You can make 2 different packages if you find that that's better, and just make one for doing the validation on the text files and separating it. And then after that, you make another one for going through and doing the standard ETL process of taking it from the 2 databases, source databases, into the data warehouse. I don't care. It's up to you. I want you to create an Excel workbook that has a report. So what I mean by that is just a simple report that shows your data. You can just go up here, go data, other sources, connect to SQL, and pull the data in. It doesn't have to be much. I just want you to verify the data is there and people can get access to it. And I want you to create some technical documentations like you've been doing that outlines the process you've created. What have you created for us? Outline how it all works. And finally, I want you to write a little document about what you learned this quarter. What were the things that you learned as you went through these weeks? So I think I've given you everything you need. Let me know if you find something missing or you find an error, and I'll see if I can get it fixed for us. Good luck with the final, and hopefully it'll be stressful, but hopefully you'll also find it very valuable learning, and you might even find it fun. Good luck.